All right, hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I'm coming to you live from Florida. I am back at home, and today is Monday, which means it's book club day. If you're new to my content, just know this. I help people that are on a healing journey. And I help people physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And part of the development on your healing journey is really about understanding the truth of who you are. And I love to bring in different books, different authors, different people that have walked a similar path, so you can kind of gain from their insights. And so every single Monday, we have book club. I think it's been going for like a year now. And we have cycled through, this is our third book. Yeah, we've done we did The Power of Intention with Wayne Dyer. We did The Power of Now with Eckhart Tolle. And now we are doing The Untethered Soul with Michael Singer. So if you are part of book club, if you join me live every single week, let me know when you get here. This was a really, really simple chapter, but profound, right? This allegory, this story that he shared. And so if you are not reading the book live with me, that's okay. Hey, Tina, good morning. You can tune in to any of these. I'm telling you, each chapter is profound for your own development and own insight. But if you're reading the full book or you want to jump into it, we have a Telegram chat. You can join us on Telegram. And that's really just where I put kind of the assignments each week, which is pretty simple. We read one chapter a week because these chapters are deep. So we were on chapter 12. And I just want to ask you, for those of you that have kind of been around for some time and you've been doing book clubs with me, you've been doing maybe Inner Management Mastery with me like Tina has, is it getting quieter inside? All of the thoughts, all of the chatter, all of the everything that we talk about that goes on in the mind, is that mind chatter getting quieter? If it is, put a 1 in the chat. If it's not, put a 2. I'm super curious. What is it? Oh yeah, so Tina says hers is for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. The more you do this work, sometimes I've heard people say, well, it seems like it's getting louder. Oh wow, mine's delayed. I just got all the chats all at once. Okay, great. You all are here. Hey everybody. Hey Sean. Hey Charlotte. So yeah, I think that sometimes it can feel like it might be getting louder, but it's because you're noticing it. Okay, and once you notice it, that's when you can kind of take a pause from it. So talk to me about, those of you that are here live with me, what are some of the tools that you have to help quiet the chatter? What are some of the things that you do that help you when the mind starts to take over and the mind's being a little crazy and the mind's going? What do you do to kind of just stop it, to pause it? I know for myself, that's partially why I love living in nature. I just walk outside. I literally go, okay, mind, enough, and I just walk outside. Because it seems to me when I get myself into nature, it's like this amazing shift for me, where all of a sudden I'm out of my own head and I'm into the world. I also will use, so breathing, breath work. Yep. There's a couple of different breath techniques that I use that I'm sure you guys use as well. So Charlotte and Tina say breathing is what it does. Sean says breath, chant, nature for sure. Fritch, see it as a cloud and let it pass. Yeah, just this acknowledgement of oh wow, there's this crazy stuff here. I don't need to keep it. I can just let it keep moving. Beautiful. Yeah, you guys have good techniques. I love Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, Mickey Singer. They all have different ideas of things that you can do to help. But we're all talking about the same root issue. Oh, Charlotte says she sings. Oh, I love that. Nice. Separate body, mind, and spirit. Yep. Understand what it is. Understand what it's not. Understand you don't have to take it seriously. Understand that if you think about it, you're giving it energy, right? Pull back the energy from it. Pratyahara, it's a concept in yoga that I love. It just says withdrawal of attention, the withdrawal of energy from it. Right? Because our attention fuels it. And so when we withdraw our attention, it does the opposite. It takes the fire away from it. A fly just landed on my computer. That's lovely. Why are you here? Totally detach. I wonder if flies have a meaning. I'm going to look that up after because it's very weird. There's nothing open. I don't know how fly is in here. Okay. Sidetracked. So he says kind of to start out this chapter, he says, realize that though you have always been in there, you have been completely overwhelmed by the constant barrage of thoughts, emotions, and sensory inputs that draw on our consciousness, right? We get distracted by our thoughts and our emotions all the time. They tend to have this ability to just, it's here, whoop, whoop, and we get pulled by it, right? It just happens. Hey, Angela. And so he says, as you see this, it begins to dawn on you that you might actually be able to go beyond all of these disturbances, right? Because it only has the power you give it. And I thought these next questions were super interesting. I'm at the top of page 112, if you've got the book. And this first paragraph, he really laid out like an interesting series of thoughts. And I love Mickey Singer's work because he kind of steps back. He looks at this ridiculous scenario that we're all in the human journey, how our mind just like takes over and makes us crazy. And he says it's like we're living with an insane person, and that's what it feels like sometimes. But then he like is able to step back and go, well, hang on, let's ask some questions here. And so the first question he asked was, does your consciousness need to be limited to your senses? So if there is a witness back there that's watching all of this happen, does it have to necessarily be limited to what you think, what you see, your emotions, right? The objects in front of your life. This is interesting. He says, second question, if it removes itself from this personal view of the world, what happens? So if consciousness detaches from all of this, what happens? Does it lose its identity? Like, who is it? Where does it go? Number 3, would you become untethered and set free to explore beyond this human being? Sean says expansion. Yeah. And the fourth thing he says, how did consciousness even become bound to the personal self in the first place? So I love this where he says, okay, so fine, we all agreed we are the witness. Well, is it possible for the witness to completely detach from the thoughts and emotions of this person? If so, where does it go? Do you become untethered? Do you get to explore beyond? What is beyond? And then also, why in the hell did it get tethered in here in the first place? How did it get stuck in this body? How did it get limited by the thoughts and the emotions of this body? Like, I don't know about you, I've never thought about these things, right, to the level that he's like questioning in a very practical way. Like, it's great questions that he's asking. And so then he says, like, it's impossible for us to be able to answer that question. Like, it's impossible for us to be able to explore that because we would have to drop our thoughts, drop our emotions, drop everything that we are. This is where meditation comes in, right? This is where we go. But he gives this allegory, and I love this because an allegory is a story that reveals deeper meaning. And it has to be used because, like, we don't have the language to describe it. I just on Sunday yesterday, I was with my spiritual teacher. He does a darshan every single Sunday, and he was speaking, and he said, you know, in the time of Jesus spoke in parables because the West did not have the language. It was, I mean, when he says outside of yoga, right, outside of India, he said in the yogis had been developing this for thousands of years, but in other cultures it was not developed. And he said, so he had to speak in parables so that people could understand what he was talking about. All right. And super interesting, the kind of example that Mickey gives. So I'm gonna lay it out here. If you read the chapter, it's like super in depth. But I'm gonna kind of give the highlights of like this allegory, this story. Okay. So he says, first of all, imagine this. It's like you have found this beautiful field. Okay, so everyone, if you just picture right now, just being out in nature in this open field, maybe there's wildflowers around, there's a lake, there's a mountain around you. Like, it's just absolutely fabulous. Like, completely gorgeous, filled with light. It's amazing. It's so amazing that you decide, I'm going to live here. Like, this is magical. This is the best place on earth. Like, this is a sanctuary. I'm going to build a home here. And so you decide, not only am I going to build a home, I'm going to build the house of my dreams. I am going to detail every single piece of it. And you start construction. And you start to build this home. And you build this house. And you decide, you know what? I'm going to have a roommate. And this roommate is going to help keep the house clean. Okay, so this acquaintance is also going to be in there, but they're very quiet. They're going to just exist, but they're going to help keep the space clean. And so you move in, and you love the field, right? I mean, that's why you moved there. But now that you're in your house, you're like completely enamored by your house because You designed the whole thing. And you're like, it's so thoughtful and it's so incredible and I feel so safe and it's so amazing and I love every single corner of it and it's just absolutely incredible. All right? The house feels like you because it's your heart, it's your soul. You poured everything into it. And so you spend all of your time there. All right? And so outside starts to feel like a little strange because this field has there's strange sounds and there's stuff happening out there that you didn't realize happened maybe at nighttime, and you're used to living in the city and now you're all out by yourself and you feel like a little uncomfortable. And so you spend less and less time outside and more time inside. And you realize, you know what? I can actually lock down the windows. And when I lock down the windows, it's really beautiful. I was so thoughtful. When I lock them down, there's a beautiful painting on the other side. And how pretty is it? All right? This goes on and on. So stay with me because, he's really painting this picture because it's super important to understand. And hopefully you drew the connection between this and us, our predicament. But he says, so continue on with me. Lock the windows. And then it feels like a fortress. All right? And you like this because, like I said, you were from the city. It was overwhelming before. Now you're out here. You're unsure of yourself, but you're safe in here. And you become accustomed to living like this. You become accustomed to the safety inside of the confines of this beautiful home that you made. And you're absolutely in heaven, right? You're so comfortable that you're writing and you're reading and you're doing all of these things and you're just having an absolutely fun life. And you realize it's safe. Things are predictable inside of the home. Things are familiar inside of the home. You can control every aspect inside of the house. And you're like, this is incredible. Whereas outside, it's completely unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And you've got zero control over the whole thing. And you're like, no, it's way better in here. And so this is how you live. Until one day, the lights go out. And you're like, I did not prepare with extra light bulbs. And so now you are plunged into darkness. You are plunged into darkness and you find some candles, but they're like for extreme situations. So you only have a few. And so you light the candles occasionally, but now you can't read, you can't write, you can't do all the things that you used to do. You have to be very sparing with this. It's hard to see. And this is really hard for you because you love the light. Like the light was why you moved to the field in the first place. You love light. But it's not difficult enough for you to overcome the discomfort of the darkness to go out into the unknown again, to go out into that field. And so you stay there. And you get a little lonely, but you have the candles, so you have some comfort. But, you start to even question, what was I even afraid of? I don't even know what I was afraid of anymore. But you have this fear that's constantly gnawing. There's a scaredness, an uncomfortableness that's inside of you. You can't even pinpoint where it's coming from. It's just there. And so you fall into darkness, and then all of a sudden that roommate that was in there with you finds these things that you can break and they emit light. And you have tons and tons and tons of them. And so all of a sudden you notice this roommate again for the first time, and you guys start decorating the house, and so you have this inner light that's coming. And all of a sudden, things are turning around and you decorate it and the home becomes beautiful and you start reading and writing again and you actually fall in love with your inner roommate. And you actually have a wedding ceremony with this roommate. This is how detailed, right? He gets at this allegory. I freaking loved it. And he says it starts to feel like heaven internally. It starts to feel like absolute heaven. But then you find this book in your library. And you start to read the book and you're confused because the book starts talking about this light that exists outside, this omnipresent light, this light that never goes out, that shines on everyone equally and nobody is making it. It is just there. It just exists. And you're super confused because you're viewing this in relation to the world that you know, which is that you have to self-generate light. Light does not just come. It has to come from within. You got to make it. And you can't understand, right? You're living in this house and it's been a long, long time. And you're like, there's this whole world out there that you don't know about. All right. And so you keep being intrigued by this book. You're reading this book, and something within your heart is saying what this book is saying is true. Right? But you're living inside the house. And so you're living inside of darkness. And you've lived there so long that your hopes, your dreams, your philosophies, your beliefs have been founded upon being inside the dark house. And it says that while you're attached to and enamored with the world that you have created to avoid darkness, you will never know the abundance of natural light that's beyond the confines of your house. How will you ever go outside when you're so dependent upon what you have built inside? And the book explains that you will not be able to experience this light unless you leave the house, unless the walls break down, unless you go out there. And so this is the predicament, right? He uses this story to explain us. And so do you get it? Okay, put it in the chat. Do you understand the visual? You, my friend, are inside of the house. You have sealed yourself off from the light, from the love, from the divine. Your house is sitting in the middle of brilliant light. You're literally living in love, and yet you don't see it. Why? What are your walls made of? That is my question to you. Because this is you. What are those walls? What are the walls that you have made so you're not experiencing the beauty of what is all around you? Yeah, Jane says it's so true. We've totally forgotten how lovely the light and love is. Emmy says samskaras are part of it. Yep. Past experiences. So those of you who don't know what a samskara is, it's a groove from our past, a past way of being, something that's blocked, stuck energy in our system. Tina says fear. Jane is saying our walls are fear, ? A lot of people saying fear, unworthiness. You're getting at it, but what are all those things? What is fear? It's just a mental construct. Fear is a thought. Okay, so understand this. Your house, guys, that is blocking you right now is made of thoughts and emotions. Stuff from the past, like Emmy was saying, some samskaras, and stuff that's very present, right? Our thoughts, past, future. Exactly, Emmy. Exactly. Emotions. Exactly, Charlotte. The house is made of thoughts and emotion. Your walls are your psyche. Guys, the house is your mind. Okay, and that's the thing that's got to break, that's got to shatter so you can actually connect in to what's beyond. This is why meditation is so amazing, because meditation takes away the ego mind, consciousness, and it moves that aside, and it moves you into this connection with source, the connection with the divine, the connection to that omnipresent love that is always there, that you're literally swimming in. Look around your room right now. What do you notice? You might notice the walls, the furniture, etc. But guys, the biggest thing in your room is space. You're literally just in space. You're in air. That's how omnipresent it is. We forget about it. Okay? We totally forget about it. All right? But it's there. Space is there. Love is there. This omnipresent light is always there. And so what he says, he kind of explains it out on, where am I? Page 115. It is all your past experiences, all your thoughts and emotions, all the concepts, views, opinions, beliefs, hopes, and dreams that you have collected around yourself, all right? And you hold them in a place on all sides, including above and including below. You have pulled together in your mind a specific set of thoughts and emotions, and then you have woven them together into a conceptual world in which you live. This mental structure completely blocks you. Whoa. Yeah. Lou says, it's like a stadium and you retracted the roof. Yeah, you totally did. You built yourself right in here. So he says, you are so entranced into paying attention to your thoughts and emotions that you never go beyond the borders they create. I'm going to read that again because it's probably one of the most profound statements to explain this life, our issues, the limitations. Okay? You are so entranced into paying attention to your thoughts and emotions that you never go beyond the borders they create. You're so enamored with the house that you never go back into the field. You understand me? We get so enamored by this, right? We never go back in. And let me ask you guys, have you ever tried to walk towards the walls? So many of you said fear. Have you ever tried to walk towards your fear, to the self-created wall? What happens? It's like really hard to do, right? The closer you get, the more you're going to have this urge to pull back. You're like, oh my God, no. Like, I'm going to retreat back into this house because it's comfortable, it's known, it's familiar, it's predictable, I can control it. And when I go to touch that, no way. Tina's like, I'm going there now. Yes, good job, Tina. All right. That which you collected from your past, guys, forms a boundary that you intuitively avoid because it hurt too much, right? Those samskaras pack a lot of heat. And when you move towards them, your mind, right, which operates on a binary, seek pleasure, avoid pain, is like, don't go back to there. Don't go back to there. Don't do it, right? Rhonda's like, oh yeah. Ooh, yeah. It's the truth. Because you avoid running into them, though, you have locked yourself inside the perimeter. Oops. And the boundaries of your awareness, right? You are now a prisoner of that. Because you are not willing to approach them, you cannot see beyond them. And guys, the way out of this predicament is through. You got to go into the discomfort. You got to face the fears. You got to look at it head on, and you got to go anyway. And then you realize there's freedom on the other side. It's blissful on the other side. It was all BS in your own mind. Fear, false evidence appearing real. It's not real. Emmy says, though, it's a challenge every time. We've forgotten the love light so much that we don't even remember why we'd walk towards the fear. Yeah, exactly. And this is where it gets at. This is like, Jane, perfect point. And I want you to understand this. If you see the wall as protecting you from unending darkness, you'll not want to go there. Like, it makes complete sense. Like, I built the wall to protect me. Why in the hell would I break it down? Right? If it's protecting me, let it stand tall. Let it be there. But we've forgotten what he says. If you see, though, that the wall is actually blocking the light, it's a house inside sitting in a beautiful field. If you see that the wall is actually blocking the light, then you will want to go through it in order to remove it. Understand this? Right? So most people are trapped in a hell of their own making, in their own prison, because they think they're protected in there. They think they're safe. Well, guess what? Those same walls that are protecting you are actually keeping you from experiencing love, light, omnipresent, everything, joy. And so if you understand that, now the wall's not keeping you safe. The wall is blocking you, and you want to go punch it down, right? It is the tough part, Emmy. It totally is, but you have to see it that way. This is the inner shift, right? This is where you start to see the gift of fear and you lean into it. When you start to feel fear, you go, I'm hitting a wall. And when I get through it, I'm going to be closer to the light. Does this make sense? And so life is always, guys, this is the beauty. When I teach Inner Management Mastery, I tell everybody life is your playground for spiritual development because life is happening for you, not to you. And you've heard this phrase, but let me nail it down with this example. So it's not difficult to get past the walls because time and time again, every single day, the natural flow of life is colliding with your walls and it's trying to tear them down. It's trying to show you, you've got a wall here. Move it, right? Move it. If you get ticked off in traffic, if you get upset with your partner, if you get into an argument with your sibling, right? That's a you problem. That's a wall problem. You've got a wall there and you need to get rid of the wall. You need to just let it crash down. You need to stop defending your boundaries. This is something that it is not a popular opinion. Everyone talks about boundaries. You need boundaries. BS. A boundary is a wall. Okay, you need to learn how to have your heart open to everything. That's what you need to learn how to do. You need to not have an opinion about how it should be, ought to be, how you want it to be. You need to have your heart open. You need to be clear about your needs. You don't let people walk all over you, right? But you do not need boundaries. I could go on a rant about that because it drives me nuts. Everybody out there, have boundaries, clear boundaries in relationships, this, that, your work. No, you've missed the point. Okay, you're locked inside of a house, inside of a field, if you've got boundaries. My perspective. Now, he does say, because what does he say? I want to talk about this. Let me go back. This is because what we call darkness is really the blockage of light, and you must pass these walls. Have any of you heard about the dark night of the soul? right? I always have this behind me because this to me represents the dark night of the soul. Like the dark stuff where we are, we have to go through it and we get back to the light. Like there's a constant cycle, and you got to go through the darkest times, through the fear, through the walls that are thick and intense, and they're full of some scars, and it kicks up a lot of stuff from your past, holds a lot of energy. But guys, also remember that the walls are taking your life force. You're using your life force to hold up walls and defend barriers and defend boundaries and defend yourself. Like, stop. It's a waste of your life force. You only have so much. So knock it off. And instead, go through it. Use your energy to bust down the wall, and then you're going to literally be bathed in light. You've been in the dark night. Well, Charlotte, you're here for the right reasons. You're coming through. And if you need support, you know I'm here. Okay? He talks about how, on page 117, he kind of gets into like how ridiculous it is that we get so worried about patching our walls. Like he gives the example of like, what if you found out you were adopted? Like it would shatter your world. For me, my world got shattered, right? They call it like an ego death, right? Mine got shattered after my car accident. It was like all of the constructs, the person I thought I was, all the beautiful house that I built just got pummeled. Like it just was like, boop, nope. And I was like, where am I? I'm like hiding in the basement, like, oh my God, the house is gone. Like, who am I? And I didn't realize I just had to walk out of the basement and I was surrounded by light. You know, I stayed in that basement for a long time because I didn't understand. I was super confused and I wanted my house back, but it had been pummeled, right? And it's tough. But we use our mind to try and patch it, and it's crazy, and it's a waste of your energy. Okay, so he says, just like the people who fearfully locked themselves inside the dark house in the middle of a sunlit field and then struggled to create light, like it's a ridiculous predicament, right? Struggle to create light when they're living in it. We work hard to build a world within the confines of our inner walls that is better than the inner darkness. We decorate our walls with memories of our past experiences, with our dreams of the future. In other words, we decorate them with thought. But just as the people in the house had the potential to step out of their own self-made artificial world into the beauty of the natural light, you can step outside your house of thoughts into the unlimited. And then you're going to look back at that little house that you had built and you're going to wonder why in the hell you were ever in there. Because it is minuscule and crazy and silly compared to the beauty that's all over. All right? So what you need to do, this is kind of like the to-do that he gave us. He says, focus on the walls of your own making that are blocking the light. Pivot your perspective to realize the wall is blocking your light, all right? So understand that it's not protecting you, it's blocking you. And then he says you can get out simply by letting everyday life take down the walls that you hold around yourself. You simply don't participate in supporting, maintaining, or defending the fortress anymore. You let it go. You surrender, right? It sounds simple. It is simple. It's hard to do emotionally, but it's totally like use life to figure out. Like when you get upset, it's like, dang, there's a wall. Let it go. Like let the thing crumble. Don't defend it like you're defending your life. Like it's fine. Let it roll. I was in a meditation this morning, and it's interesting. I'm in how to describe this. I joined a group called Emergence for like 6 weeks. And Andrew Genovese is like the head of it. And I've really enjoyed working with him. And this past week, he was talking about inner child work, which I study yogic philosophy. So I study like the way that the yogis look at things. And they don't talk about an inner child. But I understand. It's like some scars, right? I mean, like that's kind of in my, like with the West, the inner child work, the shadow work. I think that's like some scar stuff. So anyway, so I've done a lot of that work, not in the way that they said, but I said, hey, I'm going to dabble with like what he talks about. And so he said, bring your inner child in front of you, like in a meditation, and talk to it. So I brought little Danielle right in, and it was so fascinating, guys. And I'll be brief on this, but in my meditation this morning, I was sitting and I said, okay, like let's let little Danielle come in. And little Danielle came in inside of a box, like a perfect box. And I was like, what are you doing in there? And she literally said to me, it's safe in here. And I was like, oh my. And I said, yeah, but it's limiting you. Why don't you come out? And so through this, like, I'm in a meditation, right? So it's like conversation, but not a conversation, whatever. She comes out and we start to see like, oh, and it was so wild. I don't know how to describe this, right? Meditations are sometimes weird. So the box like went through her chakra system, then came back down and settled in the root chakra and literally said to her, sit on me. And it was like this knowing of you're always held, you're always safe. If you close your eyes and you sit down, I'm right here. You're always held. You don't have to be inside of me, right? You can just sit on top of me. And it was just this beautiful, I think probably because like the chapter we just read and whatever, all the stuff I'm doing, but it was like this beautiful imagery. And I thought, wow, we all have that solid foundation, right? We all can go inward and there is safety. Like we're all always held. We're sitting on that like a hexahedron, like a cube. It's like super solid. And that's your foundation. And that is the image that is used for that first chakra. So just super interesting for whatever it's worth to you guys. It just, I don't know, it like tied it all together for me. What did Jane say? Making the light ourselves is the thinking that we have to accept the love others can give us and think it's all the love that we're allowed. Yes, Jane, good point. So when we're kind of making this inner light, it's like, yeah, there's limitations to it. But the truth is we're open to it all. Emmy says, wow, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing, Danielle. Beautiful. Lou says you will write a book. Lou, I feel like it's in me. I don't know how to make it happen. For now, video is good. I'll share with you guys. Yeah, the inner child thing, it was super fascinating. I've never had anyone, like, just to give you some other stuff if you want to try it. You guys, the cold shower thing came from Andrew. So I love that you guys are doing the cold showers. I am too. It's like, moving through the internal blocks, those walls, right? It's just, that shatters the wall every time I turn on the cold water. I'm like, yeah. And it feels good. It feels good. And so I'm young. Yes, Lou, I do have time still. But with the inner child stuff, he said to just like, what would you say, to little you? And he said, even have a nickname. And it was so funny because this name, like I think my grandfather used to call me like Doodlebop, like little Danny Doodlebop or something like that. And so that's the name that came to me. And so that's what I was talking to this little me as, like wild stuff. Anyway, I don't know. It's interesting. There's something to it. It's all energy, right? And yeah, if you don't heal that inner stuff, like the way I look at it and teach it is samskaras, and this is what I do in Inner Management Mastery, right? I teach you guys to go find these energy blocks and release them. I guess that's what these guys do with inner child work, but same stuff. What's here? Cold shower was getting used to the uncomfortable. Yes. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, growth will happen. And a cold shower is that. Like, I love what Fritz said. I don't know if you guys saw in the Telegram chat. He was like, I had all this like story in my head about how terrible it was going to be before I turned that nozzle. And then I turned it and it wasn't as bad. Like, my mind made it way worse than it actually was. And I just started laughing. I was like, isn't that the truth of life? Our mind makes everything into some giant big deal. Shatter the wall. Enjoy your life. Embrace it. Next week, guys, we will be back. Chapter 13, Far, Far Beyond. It's a shorter chapter, it looks like. And it doesn't matter. They're always packed full of a lot of stuff. So we'll be doing that. I also wanted to say Inner Management Mastery. I'm launching another one April 20th. And so if you're interested, let me know. This is the last week that I'm doing consults. If you're interested in it, would love to work with you so we can do some of this work, allow for more growth. If you resonate with Mickey's work, you will definitely resonate with what this course is all about. So lots of love, sending all of you light, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.